Hi guys, Accidental Master Student here. So while I was posting the videos for last week, I realized that I always meant to do like an introduction video and I never did. I totally forgot because I got so involved with talking about masks and the type of masks and all these things about public health. So really quickly, I wanted to just do a brief introduction of who I am. Um, and why I decided to do this channel. So, first of all, I am a graduate student. I am a nurse. I work at a hospital full time as a clinical educator. I also do volunteer work with the county's vaccination. It's like the Reserve Medical Corps. I do that too, as well as I do vaccinations for COVID one or twice a week. I like doing that. It's really fun and just gonna make me feel that I'm doing something for the community and to get this taken care of. I am also a you could call it a full-time master student because everything is online. So I do take a class at a time. There are 6 weeks, but the thing is like I don't have any breaks. So I do one class, and after the 6 weeks, I start the next one right away. So my classes go from Tuesday to Monday. And then like if I end my class on a Monday, then on Tuesday I start the next class. So it's like no breaks. The only break I had was like Christmas, but that is really good. So why did I start this channel? So what happened is like I've always wanted to get my master's, and I do not know why I wanted to get my master's. A lot of people say these are my goals in life. I love learning. I come from a family of educators, and even though I tried to resist, I ended up being an educator. So, and I love my job. So, I've always loved classes. I've like learning. I've always looking for the next thing to learn. Even at work, I started as a PCU educator, but then I've done women and infant services. I've done a little bit of procedural areas. I've learned ED, observation, critical care, ICUs, and all that stuff. So I'm always looking to learn. And I think that's the reason why I wanted to do my master's, not necessarily because it matched something that I needed for my work. I am very lucky that I have a job that, even though at this time it requires masters, I was grandfathered in because I was already doing the job when that changed. So, but I love learning. I love learning something new. And public health has always been an interest of mine because when I was working at the bedside, I always look at the patient as a 360 degree. I just didn't see my patient, what's happening now. I always saw my patient, what happened before, what's going to happen after. And that's what drove me to case management for a little bit. But then I'm like, when I was doing hospice and even now in education, it's like, let's look at this patient, let's look at the community, because right now health is not just like the hospital, but the hospital does a lot to affect the community. So how do we do this? And public health is something that I always was interested in. I've always been interested in helping with, besides any political views or anything like that, I've always was interested when I moved here, knowing I was very intrigued by like the undocumented population and why did people come here and risk so much. So I've always was interested in the undocumented population. I had a lot of friends in high school that were part of that population. Some of them are still part of that population. And so what motivates them to risk so much to come here to a country that maybe it's better in some cases, in some sense, but then not in others? I don't know. It's just so with, mixing my backgrounds, I could kind of do that with public health and getting a master's. But again, the master's situation was like right now, I like my education background. I have a bachelor's in construction management, with a with an emphasis in electrical and mechanical systems. So I used to work in construction. I was a project engineer for a couple of years. I worked here in my state. I also worked in California, and I lived in New York for a while working with a company. Then I had kids, and then I stopped working for a little bit. And then when it was time to go back, I missed my kids too much. And then I found nursing thanks to my niece. And I love nursing because I can apply some of the stuff. So I got my associates in nursing, and I worked as a bedside nurse. But when I came into case management, because I was part of the leadership group, they wanted me to have my bachelor's. So I got my bachelor's in nursing. So I have like 3 degrees. And then I was thinking, really, I want to do something else, like learn more? But do I want another bachelor's? Do I want another, like a certificate? What do I want? I don't know. So the master's came because the company that I'm very lucky to work for, that I've been with them for a long time, they were the ones, they paid for my associates in nursing, and they helped pay for my bachelor's when I did it online. And now I was offered a full tuition grant. So I'm extremely lucky. And I just went for it because I know it was like, it's the middle of a pandemic, and I don't know, and I'm working full time. And so I just decided to do it because you never know, like, it's such an amazing opportunity. Like, you never know if that's ever going to happen again. I don't know if I'm going to have an opportunity to get another grant and do something. And then it was just perfect. I'm like, I'm going to be learning about public health while something like this is happening, so I could kind of apply my knowledge right away. So I decided to do my master's, and I love it. I love it a lot. It's like I'm looking at the same things that I've been looking at and thinking about, but I'm actually now have like the research behind it, and I have the knowledge behind, okay, so what I was thinking, sometimes I'm like, that's exactly what I was thinking. And sometimes like, oh my gosh, that's like a totally different point of view. So I love it. I love learning. Again, both my parents have doctorate degrees in education. My sister's pursuing hers in education. So I just I didn't feel pressure to get a master's, but I was like, okay, like, do I really want a third bachelor's, or should I just go for the master's? And this kind of fell in my lap, so I'm doing it. Again, I work full-time, so I'm like a full-time nurse educator. Then I have 3 beautiful kids, and I'm married, and you've met my husband before. And I do volunteer for vaccinations once or twice a week, and then I do my schooling. So I'm like very busy, but at the same time, I really love it. So I felt for a little bit that I wasn't doing much. I was just like kind of working full time. I felt a little bit stagnant, and I didn't like it. So I was kind of looking for this. So this came at a beautiful time in my life. So I'm doing that. So I created this channel because I wanted to create something. The first video I did, like the very first video I did, was with my daughter, and we were gonna kind of do like something like mother-daughter, and then like the pandemic hit like super hard, and we were kind of struggling with schooling and online schooling and all these things. So we kind of stopped, and then I decided let me pick it up, but now with a new focus, which is I struggle. Like my first class, you could see like my first videos was a real struggle because I was going back, like I wanted to do it. I love learning, but I was just like, it's a pandemic, and like work at the time was kind of iffy, and the kids and at the time when the pandemic started, my oldest one was a senior in high school, and I had a sophomore in high school, and then my little one was in 5th grade, and just like all the plans we had, like, and it was like a shock to me because we had so many plans for my daughter's graduation, our firstborn, and she did so amazing in school. And it was a little bit depressing, and I took it a little bit hard that we couldn't do all the things that she wanted to do, and she wanted to go to the East Coast, and then we couldn't. I'm like, I cannot send you to the East Coast by yourself, and with this pandemic. And she stayed here, and we're happy. It was for the best, but it was just like emotionally very draining, and I struggled with that very first class. But it wasn't like a struggle like anything was hard. It was just a struggle like emotionally and mentally because of everything else that was going on. The class itself was really good. The introduction to public health, I really liked that class. um, it was a lot of work because I had to get back into that rhythm, and I had to like get used to like the APA, because in engineering you use MLA. And then in my bachelor's I used a little bit of APA, but it wasn't so much writing. But then now it's like a lot of writing, so I'm just getting used to that. But I got the book, and it's just practice. And then by the end of the class, by the 6th week, I was like, okay, I know this, I got it, I remember now. But that's why I wanted to do this channel. I said, like, I cannot be the only person that's going through this, that has struggled to start and live life, have a full-time job, go to get a master's, or get like any education, because it doesn't even necessarily have to be a master's. Get any type of education. So I just wanted to like talk the struggles, but then like the pandemic hit, and then I got to like, I love like I look up to Dr. Fauci, and that's not a secret. I love Dr. Fauci charts, and that's not a secret, because I think that he guides his knowledge, and like science guides him, not so much like personal gain or political views, anything like that. It's just like he's guided by science, and he's worked under so many, like I think like 6 different presidents, and he's always been like science goes first. I remember listening to like an interview, like he was talking about Reagan, and like, and like how Reagan wasn't like too much into like the whole situation, but he's like, wait, whatever you say, you do. And he loves that freedom to be able to use his knowledge and his and I admire that he's not he doesn't change his points of views, and doesn't compromise his morals and his ethics for anything else. So I really like Dr. Fauci, so I'm sorry, but but I wanted to just talk about my experiences, and some weeks are better than others, and a lot of times it's not so much school but life, but that happens, right? So that's why I wanted to do this channel. So I did my first class was principles of introduction to public health. It was really good. It was interesting. I was just kind of learning that it's just basically looking, how in the hospital we look at the patients, but public health is just basically looking at the community, population as a whole, and how everything like, wearing helmets, wearing your seatbelt, all that stuff is public health, because we want to keep you safe through that. So sometimes in the beginning I was just a little bit struggling, because sometimes I felt that public health was a little bit too intrusive, but just learning more about the reasoning why and all that stuff is super interesting to me, and I really like it. And there's always those lines that you don't want to cross, but sometimes for the better of the community you have to, and it's something that I'm just making more peace with, those type of things. So and then I did my second class was like social and biological determinants of health. That was a struggle. That class was a struggle. It was like the amount of work, and it's not because of but the amount of work for that class in comparison to the points and the grades that you were gonna get was insane. I thought, like, why, right? So like if you have 1 week and you have 7 days and you have to work and have a life, and then on top of that you have to, like how we do is like we do discussions. So you have to write like they ask you a question, and you have to post your answer to that question by day 3 of the class, which is Thursdays. And then after that you have until the last day of class, which is a Monday, to respond to other people. So you have to put your initial posting, and it has to be like, you have to use Scholar research and Scholar, you have to do research, and you have to have sources and all that stuff. So you have to do that posting, And then after that, you have to read the posting of the other people in the class, and you have to respond to them and you have to do research, and you have to support your answer with references and articles and all these things, right? But when you have two of those, and then on top of that, you have one or two assignments that are 5 to 7 pages long, and then like the posting, for example, is like 1 point, and like the assignments were like 3 or 4 points, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like spending so many hours for a point, you know. And I'm the type of person that I want as many points as possible, because that way, if like, you don't know the struggles you're going to have at the end of the class. So I'm just gonna try to get as many points as I can. And then like, if I have to like take it easy, like that happened to me in one of the classes, that like the last week, like biostatistics, I had, you see, so for this social determinants, my second class, it was so much work. We didn't have a break for Thanksgiving, so that kind of like bummed me out a little bit, because I'm like, it's Thanksgiving, I should be, so it was stressful that week. But I finished that class, and I was like, oh my gosh, if I survive that class, I can survive anything. And then I had biostatistics. But biostatistics was different, because for biostatistics, I had to do a discussion, and I had to like do my posting, but then I had to answer to two different people. And then that was due by like Thursday, right? But then you also had a lab, and that you had to do statistic stuff in the computer in Excel, and that's something I don't do. So you had to do a lab, and then you had a quiz, was like 20-question quiz, and then you had one assignment. So I had like more things to do, but the way the teacher presented it or did it, I don't know, it didn't feel like it was a lot of work. You see what I'm saying? So it just kind of depends. But I love statistics. I love math. So that could have also been a reason why. So I did that, and then I started my fourth class, and it was global health. But then I discovered after I completed the first week, and that's when I put a posting, is like, this teacher wants me to write about, I have to think about my death, and I have to write about it, like what I think is going to kill me. And I put like a little posting about that. And I was just like, and after all that emotional struggle, I discovered that that class wasn't part of my curriculum. I was enrolled in it by mistake. So then when I discovered that, I called the university, and then they told me, the other class doesn't start for another 2 weeks, for another week. So I had like a week off, which was fine. And then I started this class that I'm taking now, which is, what is the name of this class? Oh my God. Introduction to what? What is the name of this class? Let me see. Hold on, because I have my computer open. What is this class? Oh my gosh, I am like totally drawing a blank right now. What class am I taking? Oh, public health systems. Oh my God, that is really bad. But so I'm taking public health systems, and basically this class is about, like, you have 1 or 2 postings, and then like you have to cover the different systems and the different agencies. So last week I wrote about the CDC. I had to pick 2, but of course, like, I chose the CDC and the NIH. And but then I had to write a paper about Indian health services, and which was really interesting, because all my life working as a nurse, I thought Indian health services was an actual health insurance, but it's not. It's not health insurance. So it was really interesting to see. We have to like compare some of the data and compare to the other agencies and compare budgets and stuff like that. So they have one of the lower, but I looked at like 10 different agencies within the health, human U.S. health department, and it is one of the agencies with the lower budget, but one of the agencies with more employees. And but the amount of money they spend per person they serve is like ridiculously low. Most of their money goes in operational costs, and they only have like 200 doctors for the whole system. So if you think about Indian health services and like all the Native Americans throughout the United States, um, it's a lot of people, right? But they only have like 200 doctors. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, if I think about the health system that I work for, which is in Arizona, Nevada, Colorado, there's a clinic in California, Wyoming, there's a clinic there. We have more than 200 physicians for the health system I work for. So you have, I only serve like 4 states, and it's not like the whole state. You know what I'm saying? To look at an agency like that. So just looking at that. So we look a lot about to the Affordable Care Act, and we're going to be looking about like right now I'm doing homework about bioterrorism, and I was looking about the advancements of public health, which I was talking about, comparing like the creation of vaccinations with uh, preparedness and emergency readiness, and cardiovascular advances and all these things. And I chose infections because I wanted to use something else, but I didn't want to use the same someone else took. But so you're just comparing the different agencies and all that stuff. So that was this class is really good. It's very informative, like learning about the different agencies within the department, because I have a love affair with the CDC and NIH. It's like, I'm not ashamed of saying it. Like, when someone tells me something, what does the CDC say? What does the NHA tells me? What did the WHO say? Those are the 3 agencies that I go to for most of my information. So this is just kind of like a thing that I'm doing. So I wanted to just to recap. So this is what I'm doing. Like, my channel is supposed to be about this, but like, I know I did a video about love yourself, because also sometimes like we forget, like, we're students, but we also have to take a minute and just think about ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I don't take care of myself, how am I going to be able to work? How am I able to go, finish school and do all these things that I have to do, right? So I did one about that, and I did one like a review about like some soaps or whatever, because that's part of, taking care of myself and my family and making sure that we're healthy. But that didn't go that good, so I haven't done like the final review. I should, but it's very controversial in the house right now with the different soaps, and do you really want to use natural soaps or not? There's some chemicals that people is addicted to, which we shouldn't, but so so that's it. So this channel is just supposed to talk about, I'm a graduate student. I'm pretty lucky. I'm not gonna deny the fact that I'm very lucky that I have the opportunities that I have through my work and my family. And so that's what this channel is about. It's just about just letting you know how difficult or how easy or how crazy life can be when you have all these things thrown your way. Again, I always think about my dad when I talk about my education. He never, like, he wanted us to have an education, and my mom too, for that matter, because sometimes I tend to talk about my dad. He passed away 11 years ago this year. So, but my mom, they always wanted us to have an education and do things that we love. And some of those views have changed in throughout the years. But the fact that they want us to have an education, it was something that was very important for them. It's something that's very important for us. So I wanted to, do it for myself and do it for my kids, to show them it's never too late to pick up a pen and a paper and learn something new. It's challenging, but life is not easy. So, and I want them to be proud of me. I want my parents, my brother and sister to be proud of me. I want my husband and my kids to be proud of me. And this is like a big undertaking. So I wanted to just kind of have record of it, and just show them that most of my videos might be difficult videos because I'm struggling, but they're also going to be happy videos. And so I'm super excited to continue. My graduation date is May 2022. So oh my gosh, like next year. it's already like next year, so it's really exciting. Would I change my job? But my dream job will be to work for the CDC or the WHO. Um, I would love to go back home to my country and work with the CDC and and do something there. I had one project that I talk about schistosomosis, which is it's known as bilharzia in Puerto Rico. So the CDC was used to study that, but then when the dengue fever started affecting Puerto Rico, they kind of stopped studying the effects of bilharzia, and which is a parasite that it's in water of like freshwater streams. Um, but that's something like they say that it's eradicated, but maybe not necessarily because we just gotta stop studying and doing the research on that. So it will be interesting to see if like years later when they say it's eradicated, just to do like a little research project to see if it's true indeed that and because there's other issues that come with it like liver disease and other issues that affect the community and the population. So that's one of my goals, my dreams, my hopes with public health. It will be to work either with the WHO or the CDC. But you never know. You have to dream big to achieve big, and hopefully my knowledge will help with all of that. We don't know. We don't know. Maybe like in May 2022, when I'm ready to graduate, I might have news that I have a new job, or I might have news that I'm staying in my job. I love my job. I've been with this company for so long that I really love it. It's like I feel joy when I go to work, and I like it. So either way, I win. But again, this is just why I wanted to do this channel. I hope you guys continue this journey with me, and let's see what happens. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a combination of things. So we'll see how it goes, and I might have one viewer. Might have 100. I might have nothing. But I just wanted to kind of put this out there, just to know that if you're struggling with life right now, pandemic, work, school, it's let's take this journey together, and let's just see where it takes us. So here, that's why I call myself an accidental master's student, because I really wanted to do it, but I didn't intend to do it until the opportunity came my way. So I hope you guys stay with me at least for the next year and a half, just to see how I do. Hopefully I'm not a statistic and I actually finish my master's, but I don't know. I'll keep you posted.